Well, folks, our borders are wide open, but $60 more billion to the Ukraine. Zelensky said it should have already happened. We should have already given up this money. I don't know how else to put this, but people are actually dying, and there are people chanting this on, literally with no remorse. It's really demonic when you watch it. Marjorie Taylor Greene is outraged. The American people are outraged. But apparently we have Mike Johnson, who is totally surrendered to the Democrat on funding for the Ukraine. And as long as the Ukraine is winning, that's all that really matters.
Win, win, win. It's a word appearing in U.S. official statements in new ways and more than ever when it comes to Ukraine. Ukraine can win. Ukraine is winning.
But let's not lose sight of how much Russia is losing in this war. Ukraine is winning. This is a tough fight, and it's not a foregone conclusion that Ukraine will win in the end. But right now, Ukraine is winning, and that's an important message for the world to see.
Russia is losing this war. They are suffering horrifying casualties, the likes of which they have not seen since World War II, and for very little gain.
But right now, I think it's fair to say Ukraine has the upper hand. Ukraine is winning its war, thanks to the enormous support we and others have provided, and we need to keep the pressure on Putin.
Total surrender by Mike Johnson, who we thought would do the job under the same contractual agreement that we had Kevin McCarthy under. But it looks like he just got compromised. What is going on in Washington, D.C., bro? The corruption is running very deep. That's what it looks like to me. I mean, I'm just a YouTuber. But it looks like the corruption runs very deep in Washington, D.C. when we just can't get there, can we? Marjorie Taylor Greene is about to blow her top, man. It's just unfair to the American people that we keep funding an actual war. Lots of people are dying. And there are people literally saying, we need to keep this going. We need to keep funding this. Can you believe it? Take a listen to what's in the bill. That's just a couple things.
Thank you to the gentleman from Tennessee, and thank you, Chairman Good, for leading this. Well, we have officially have the swamp's recipe for the failing of the American people. A massive government funding bill, chock full of wasteful spending, harmful policies, and pork projects. Truly, and I mean truly, released in the middle of the night, as was mentioned, 2:30 in the morning, giving lawmakers a little more than 24 hours to read an over 1,000-page monstrosity, only to pass it under suspension of the rules, relying on more Democrat votes than Republican votes in a House Republican majority. Just like the first package, the swamp's second half of the omnibus represents a total surrender by Republican leadership. Compromise is one thing, but capitulation and surrender is a whole different beast. One that routinely serves Washington instead of serving the American people. To my House and Senate Republican colleagues, it's time to put your money where your mouth is. Because you can't claim to be a pro-life champion and then fund abortion travel, and aborted fetal tissue research. You can't rail against President Biden's intentional illegal invasion and then fund the policies that are causing the chaos without assuming the same responsibility. Just like you can't flaunt your vote to impeach Secretary Mayorkas and then fully fund his salary and his destructive border policies. You can't defend Americans' Second Amendment liberties and then fund gun control by the CDC. You can't support science and protect young women and then fund transgender surgeries and fund educational institutions that allow biological males to compete in women's sports. And I don't call them men, I call them biological males. Real men protect women, and they don't use their superior strength to steal the honor, hard work, and achievements of women. So all you ladies out there, I want to hear you like Riley Gaines. Speak up. We're fighting for you. You can't advocate for election integrity and then fund illegal aliens voting in federal elections. You can't complain about the violation of Americans' First Amendment rights and then fund more disinformation governance boards and government by proxy censorship. You can't sound the alarm on our dire economic outlook and ballooning national debt and then rubber stamp spending higher than Nancy Pelosi's levels from fiscal year 23.
That's where your tax dollars are going. This is what they're spending your money on. I think people ought to pay closer attention, just a little bit. See, they think you're too bored to sit through this and pay attention and watch what they're doing with your money. 1,000-page bill, you got 24 hours to read it. You ever done that? I don't read that fast. 24 hours? Outrageous. It's crazy. So take a listen to Tucker Carlson. He has Marjorie Taylor Greene on his show. Listen to the level of outrage and what's actually happening behind the scenes in our Congress. Take a listen.
No,
From
not at
an
all.
outsider's perspective, it seems like Mike Johnson is working, the Speaker of the House, the Republican Speaker of the House, the supposed conservative, is working with the Biden administration to put the priorities of Ukraine above the priorities of the United States and to do something that his own voters don't want him to do. Is that true, do you think?
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Tucker, because the details of the foreign aid package that we're going to be voting on next week when we go back to Washington, we're reading about the details in the news. Let me tell you something. Not one Republican member of our conference that I have spoken to has any idea what is in this foreign aid package that's going to give $60 billion to Ukraine. And that is even the leadership offices. They haven't heard from Mike Johnson on the details. We're reading about it in the news the same way the American people are. And it's outrageous. When you saw Zelensky right there on that interview talking about, oh, we're going to lose territory. Oh, we really need this money. This $60 billion should have been approved yesterday. Let me tell you, we are losing our country to the illegal invasion that's happening every single day at our southern border. And I am so pissed off about it because the American people are pissed off about it. And while our so-called Republican Speaker of the House is only working with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and Ukraine First Mitch McConnell and the White House and Jake Sullivan, who he talks to on the phone all the time, we are angry and people have had it. We don't want $60 billion to go to Ukraine because as we slept last night, Tucker, we just went $40 billion more into debt. And that's because the interest on our debt is so huge and our debt is so massive. This is happening while we sleep every single night. So no, we don't want to send $60 billion to Ukraine. We want to put our country first. It's time to care about America.
So, I mean, is it true, do you think, that the Republican Speaker would bring this up at when your recess ends and get it passed without the majority of Republicans, but with Democrats? Could that actually happen?
Yeah, because that's what he's planning to do. Here's what I've been told. Well, first off, let's go back, Tucker. The last vote that we had on any Ukraine funding was on September 28th of 2023. That was only months ago. And that vote, only 101 Republicans voted yes for $300 million. $300 million to go to Ukraine. And that was because I pitched an enormous fit and said, take this money out of our Department of Defense. We should not be funding a foreign war in order to fund our military. That's completely wrong. And our military, their mission, as stated on their website, is to put our national security first. It's all about our national security. Fighting a proxy war with Russia in Ukraine, which is a non-NATO member nation, is not protecting America's national security interest. It doesn't protect the United States of America. As a matter of fact, that pushes us closer and closer to World War III. So we had that vote on September 28th, 2023. 117 Republicans voted no. That was the majority of the majority. Every single Democrat voted yes. Every single one. They had 0 Democrats vote no. Our Republican Speaker of the House is planning to suspend the rules next week. He is planning to not put this bill through the Rules Committee. He's not going to allow us to do any amendments. Amendments are our way of changing a bill. Amendments are our way of putting our district's interest, who we represent. That's our job title, representative. It's our way of changing a bill. Mike Johnson is going to tie our hands behind our backs and not allow us to do that. As he brings that bill to the floor, every Democrat will vote for it, and a small portion of Republicans, less than the majority, will vote for it as well. And this isn't a Republican speaker we have right now. This is a Democrat speaker of the House, because there is zero daylight between what Nancy Pelosi did last Congress and what Mike Johnson is doing now as our so-called Republican Speaker of the House.
So, yeah, they're going to be voting on that next week, and I expect them to give the money to the Ukraine. They've let us down time and time again. Apparently, the Biden administration is running through our Congress. All right, has the upper hand totally. Everyone's compromised from the way I see it. Everybody's compromised. Everybody's blackmailed or compromised. That's where I stand with it. There's no other reason why we would keep doing this and putting this kind of strain on the American people and leaving our borders wide open unless they absolutely hated us. That's what it looks like. I don't know what else to say about it. It looks like they hate us and they want to destroy our country. And that's exactly what they're doing. But let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. This has been Yup, I Said It. Thanks so much.